can you build muscle and or burn fat using intermittent fasting? Now, there's a lot of research that's been done on this. Intermittent fasting is kind of, a hot topic these days. A lot of people are doing it, and there's a lot of positive research that's been done. I've tried this myself. I have read all the research on it and everything. And so today, really, I don't want to go, I'm not doing this video to go more into the research and talk about all the positive benefits and this and that of intermittent fasting. Really what I want to talk about is the other side of it. There's kind of the theory and the research on paper and written in books about it, but then there's the kind of the real side of it, the reality of it. Will it work for you? Is it the best thing for you if you're trying to build muscle or lose fat or just, lose weight? And especially if you are over 40. So that's why I want to do this video, to kind of talk about the real side that isn't really being talked about, so you can make a better decision about, is this an approach that you should be taking, or maybe is there a different approach that you should be taking? Will this work for you, or will it work against you? So let's look at a few things. I want to make 3 key points. So the first one has to do with discipline, okay? What I'm talking about here is that, with intermittent fasting especially, it tends to work better if you are a very highly disciplined person when it comes to your nutrition, right? Now, I think the one thing that appeals to people is that they feel that because they're doing fasting, they don't have to maybe be as disciplined. And I think that that's what happens, and it leads a lot of people who do this into kind of trouble, and they don't get good results from it. They don't feel very good when they do it, because when you're going for a long period of time, there's different kind of approaches you could take. Let's say you're doing a 16-hour window where you're fasting, and then you have an 8-hour window where you can eat. So when you're going 16 hours without any food, the longer you do this, if you're not very disciplined, here's how it goes, right? When you get to eat, it's very easy to justify overeating, right? Eating more food because you have more room. You haven't eaten all day. So you kind of have more room to put more food down. Or you can justify eating more crap, right? Some desserts and things like this. So if you do not have a very, high level of discipline to keep your, the quality and the quantity of food in check, this probably isn't going to work well for you, okay? The second thing that really is not talked about is digestion. This is a huge, huge issue. If you're trying to build muscle, or if you're trying to burn fat or lose weight, your digestive system is the key to this thing, because, it doesn't matter how low you cut your calories, how many calories you eat, what your macros are. If you have a digestive system that is off, that is inefficient, that is compromised, and most people do, especially if you are struggling with body fat, if you're struggling to lose weight, if you struggle to put on muscle, if you struggle with energy levels, you have chronic kind of fatigue and low energy, you need, a pot or 2 of coffee to get up in the morning. All of these things are all indicators that there's some compromise in your digestive system. When your digestive system is compromised, you have trouble breaking down food and absorbing nutrients. And when you can't do that, it compromises not only your energy levels, but your metabolism, your ability to burn fat, your ability to burn calories, your ability to build muscle. All of that stuff gets compromised. So, digestive system efficiency is kind of the number one thing. So if you have a really good functioning digestive system, it will tend to work better for you. But again, most people do not, especially people who do this, because most people that are doing this for the reasons of they want to lose weight, they want to get rid of body fat, and they've been unsuccessful in the other approaches that they've taken. So you got to take that into consideration. Now, I've talked to a lot of clients and people over the years who swore up and down they didn't have any digestive problems. So here's kind of, when they did. And here's kind of some things you can look at. So I mentioned some of this earlier before. Chronic fatigue is one indicator. These are kind of just signs, okay? So it doesn't mean that if you have one of these or some of these, you automatically have a problem with your digestive system, but it's very likely that you do. And the more of these that you have, the more likely it is that you not only have digestive issues in a compromised digestive system, but it's more severe the more of these that you have. So again, chronic fatigue, low energy levels, excess gas, abdominal bloating, stomach cramps, pain, if you have diarrhea or constipation, These are all kind of like big kind of red flags that there's a compromise, or your digestive system is compromised. Okay. There's other things that are in there, but it could be a laundry list of it, but just be aware of that. If your digestive system is not functioning well, intermittent fasting is probably going to do more harm than good, because again, what happens when you only have an 8-hour window to eat, you have sacrificed like all of these other 16 hours or however long it is that you're going without food. So you're taking the food that you would normally eat and you're condensing it now into this short kind of time period, which means that your digestive system has less time to break down and process all that food. A lot of times what's happening is you're overloading your digestive system and it's getting so backed up and it can't process that food effectively. So you get all piled up and backed up in there. And then what happens is it can actually make your digestive system, or it could do it more harm than good. If you already have a compromised digestive system, you start overloading food on top of that, too much food or the wrong types of food, and in a very short time frame, you can make the problems even worse. And then all kinds of different health problems and everything can happen as a result. So be very aware of that. And then the final thing is dieting. When I'm talking about dieting, I'm talking about more like your history. So if you have a history where you've done, a lot of like low calorie type diets, low carb diets, skipping meals and things like that, what can happen is that you can be in a state where you're actually nutrient deficient, meaning that you don't have an adequate amount of nutrients to run your normal bodily functions. Your metabolism's not going to be running right. Your thyroid can be affected, which starts to negatively affect and slow down metabolism, right? All kinds of different things get thrown off that affect your ability to lose weight, burn fat, and build muscle, right? So the longer of a dieting history you have, or the more prone you are to like skipping meals, not eating, well-balanced meals and things like that, then the less effective this is going to be. Intermittent fasting would really not be the thing that you'd want to do. It tends to work well, again, for people who have adequate levels of nutrition. Their bodies are well nourished and can kind of handle that. Okay. So again, those are kind of the three things to be aware of: discipline, digestion, and dieting. Look at those three, and then, that way at least you can kind of make a pretty informed decision. And when it comes to building muscle and losing fat and losing weight, it's very important not to get stuck into an idea that it's got to be one way, or there's only, one size fits all. There's only one way to do it. I have to do this diet, or I have to, just do fasting or whatever, and a lot of these kind of approaches to eating or diets and everything, the reason why a lot of people, they don't work is because, number one, not every diet works for everybody. Not one approach doesn't work for everybody. We're all different. We all have different issues going on. We all process foods differently. We all, there's all kinds of reasons why there's no one size fits all. So it's important to find what works well for you. Okay. So that's kind of the main thing. Don't get stuck into kind of, a mindset of, one size fits all, because there's many different ways to go about it. Really, the key to it is to find what works for you. It doesn't matter if you try and do something, if you can't follow it, if it's not sustainable. I say, like, anybody can lose 30 pounds in 30 days if they deprive themselves and everything. But the things that they have to do are very extreme and they're not sustainable. And it doesn't do any good when you can't keep the 30 pounds you've lost off. So you go up and down, you lose weight and gain it back. You get consistent with working out and then you stop, right? If you can't sustain what you're doing for the long term, then don't do it. It's not worth it, and it makes no sense to do that, right? So again, I hope that this helped. I hope that kind of helped kind of shed some light on this topic, and let me know what you think. If you have comments or questions or whatever, feel free to leave them below, but I'll leave you with that, and then you can kind of decide for yourself which is the best approach for you. So take care, and I'll talk to you soon.